Greetings to all of you. I am Dr. Mohammad Sahal and my short introduction is presented in front of you. It has really been a motivational journey for me because my videos have been watched by foreign students also. So thank you very much for all the support and likes and subscription that you people have given to me. Let's move on to the topic that we will be going to discuss today. In my previous lecture, we have discussed periodic table in detail. Now we will be discussing the periodic trends that are found in periodic table. These are the properties that we will be discussing in today's lecture. Let's begin with the atomic radius. Atomic radius refers to the distance from the nucleus to the outermost shell of an atom. We know that the outermost shell is not a physical quantity. Therefore, atomic radius is generally measured by forming a covalent bond in a diatomic gaseous molecule. For example, let us have an example of hydrogen gas molecule. We know that hydrogen gas molecule is formed by the combination of two hydrogen atoms. So if we measure the bond length of this hydrogen gas molecule and half it, then the value will be called the atomic radius for one hydrogen atom. So if we discuss the trend in atomic radius, we say that along a period going from left right in a period, the atomic radius decreases because of the gradual increase in the nuclear charge. Along a period, because the shell remains the same and due to increase in the nuclear charge, there occurs an increased attractive force of nucleus onto the valence electrons, therefore decreasing their atomic size from left to right. Therefore, the biggest size that you can see in this first period is of lithium, because whatever nuclear charge is there, the atom coming after lithium would be having lower atomic radius as compared to lithium, because it has one unit more than lithium. And similarly, boron has smaller size than beryllium, because boron has one unit increased nuclear charge than beryllium, and the same trend goes on along the period. The same trend is found in the third period and fourth and fifth and sixth period. Going from left to right in a period decreases the atomic size because of gradual increase in the nuclear charge. Now we talk about the atomic radius in a group. Going from top to bottom in a group increases atomic radius gradually, because going from top to bottom, every element has an increased shell. If we talk about hydrogen, it has only one shell. If we talk about lithium, it has two shells. Sodium has three shells, potassium has four shells, and the number of shells keep on increasing if we go down the group. Therefore, due to increase in the number of shells as well as increase in the shielding effect of the inner electrons, we observe an increased atomic radius along a group. When an atom loses or gains electrons, it forms ions. For example, when sodium loses one electron, then it forms sodium ion, which is called cation, sodium cation. And if we talk about sodium cation, we see that sodium has 11 electrons, and the arrangement of electrons can be seen here. 2 electrons are present in K shell, 8 electrons are present in L shell, and the only one electron, which is called the valence electron or the metallic electron, resides in the outermost shell. When sodium forms positive ion, this electron has to be lost. When this electron is lost, then sodium forms cation, which is considerably smaller in size as compared to the sodium atom. This is because of the fact that sodium cation does not have the same number of shells, plus the sodium cation contains the same number of protons in its nucleus as it is possessed by the sodium atom, which means that 11 protons are pulling 10 electrons here. contrary to what is observed in sodium atom where 11 protons pull 11 electrons. So the average force per electron is increased here. So the attractive force of the nucleus of the positively charged protons over the electrons is increased, as well as there is a decreased shell in sodium cation. All these factors sum up and a very small cationic sodium ion is observed. The average size of sodium atom and sodium ion can be observed here. The atomic radius of sodium atom is 186 picometer, and the same sodium atom, when it is converted into sodium cation, its radius decreases up to 95 picometer. So the reason for this decrease has been described. When an atom accepts one electron, then anions are formed. For example, in case of chlorine, chlorine has atomic number 17, so it has 17 electrons. And the arrangement of 17 electrons is presented in front of you. 2 electrons are present in K shell, 8 electrons are presented in L shell, and 7 electrons are presented in M shell. When one electron is introduced in the valence shell, then chloride ion is formed. Due to the introduction of an excess electron, there is a decrease in average attractive force of the protons on the electrons. For example, here 17 protons are pulling 17 electrons, but in this case 17 protons are there, but the electrons have been increased to 18. So the average force on every electron decreases, and due to that decrease we encounter an increased ionic size of chloride. You can see the size of chlorine atom is 99 picometer, but when this chlorine atom gets converted into chloride ion, its size increases up to 181 picometer. And due to the same reason, because 17 protons are there in chlorine atom as well as in chlorine ion, but there occurs an increase in electron number, and due to that increase uh, every electron feels a little short, a smaller force than what it was observing in chlorine atom. Therefore we encounter an increased ionic radius in case of anion. When we talk about periodic trend in ionic radius, the same trend is followed in ionic radii as it was following in the atomic radius. The ionic radius, the cationic radius you may say, keeps on increasing if we go down a group. And if we go from left to right in a period, then the ionic radius keeps on decreasing because of the gradual increase in the nuclear charge. Let us talk about electronegativity trend. Electronegativity is the property of an atom to attract shared pair of electron, or simply you may say that it is the property of an atom to attract electrons towards itself. In very simple words, if you observe the periodic table which I have presented in front of you, we see that electronegativity values decrease down a group. These electronegativity values decrease down a group because of regular increase in the number of shells. When you say that you are increasing number of shells, you say that actually you are increasing the distance of electrons, valence electrons that is, from the nucleus. If there is only one shell, for example in hydrogen, you say that its electrons are very forcefully attracted by its nucleus. And when you say there are two shells, as in case of lithium, you say that its valence electrons are somewhat far apart from the nucleus. And in case of sodium, another shell is added up, so the distance between the nucleus and the valence electron is further increased. and further increase can be observed by increasing shell numbers. Due to the increased shell number, the one factor is what? We are increasing the distance between the nucleus and the valence shell. Another factor is that the already present inner electrons actually mask the force of the nucleus towards the valence electrons, therefore making it very harder for nucleus to reach for its valence electrons. Therefore, its electronegativity values decrease down a group because of regular increase in shell number as well as regular increase in shielding effect. If we go from left to right in a period, we know that in a period the shell remains the same, but what actually increases is the atomic number or the number of protons in nucleus, you may say. So due to increase in the atomic number of due to increase the atomic number along a period, but the same shell, we say that there is increased nuclear force on the valence electrons because the shell is not increasing, it remains the same. For example, in second period we say that it is L shell. So lithium has one electron in L shell, beryllium has two electrons, but the shell is the same. Due to the regular increase in the nuclear charge, there occurs an enhanced attractive force of the nucleus onto those valence electrons, thereby making it more electronegative. As the values, you can see that lithium has electronegativity values of 1.0, beryllium is 1.5, and the same trend is followed along the period. So if we consider all these rules, we say that the first group elements should have the least electronegativity values, because if we go from left to right, electronegativity values increases. When electronegativity values increase, so the first group would be having the lowest electronegative elements. And if we talk about the lowest electronegative elements, we say that the least electronegative element would be the one which is residing at the bottom of the periodic table. So according to these rules, francium should be the lowest electronegative element, which is, in fact it is. And if we talk about the highest electronegative elements, we say that going from left to right in a period increases the electronegativity, and the most electronegative element of a group is one which resides at the top. Therefore, fluorine is the most electronegative element in the periodic table. As you can see, its value is 4.1. Noble gases in this periodic table do not play a significant part as far as electronegativity is concerned, because they are very stable in nature. Therefore, their electronegativity is seldom discussed. The next property that we are going to discuss is the ionization energy. Ionization energy refers to the energy which is required to remove an electron from the outermost shell from an isolated gaseous atom. Because it is energy, it is usually measured in kilojoules per mole. Ionization energy decreases from top to bottom in a group. It is because of the fact that going from top to bottom in a group actually increases the number of shells, and because of the increase in number of shells, there is increased distance from the nucleus to the outermost shell, as well as there is increased shielding effect. Due to all these effects, the nuclear force becomes very weak as we go down a group. Due to weakening of the nuclear force, it becomes very easy to remove outermost electrons uh, if we go from top to down in a group. Contrary to that, if we go from left to right in a period, then going from left to right in a period, actually what happens there increases the atomic number of elements because of the same shell but it increased atomic numbers. The valence electrons feel an enhanced force of attraction by the nucleus. Therefore, it becomes very difficult for us to remove electron if we go from left to right in a period. Therefore, going from left right in a period increases the ionization energy, or in simple words, we need to give more energy to remove electrons uh, if we go from left right in a period, and we need to give very small energy to remove electrons if we go down a group. This uh, graph is presented in front. I've taken this graph from the general chemistry book by Darrell D. Ewing. In this graph, we can easily see that the lowest ionization energy values correspond to the alkali metals here. And due to this property, alkali metals are very good metals, because metals by the definition are those substances which give out electrons very easily, and alkali metals give out their electrons very easily. If we provide very small amount of energy, they give out their electrons. Therefore, they are very good metals. Contrary to that, if we talk about the highest ionization energy values, the highest ionization energy values correspond to the noble gases. They have the highest values because first we need to break their electron pairing, and then we need to give enough energy to remove their valence electrons. Therefore, the ionization energy values of the noble gases is the highest among all elements in the periodic table. Some irregularities are also found in the ionization energy trend, because for example, if we see that the group 3a elements which have the electronic configuration of ns2 and p1, they have smaller ionization energy than the group 2a elements. Why is this so? Because the valence electron in case of 3a element is the np1, which would initially be removed. The np1 electron does not have any pairing, therefore it can easily be dislodged by the valence shell. And if we talk about group 2a elements, which is fulfilling ns2 orbital, then its electrons are paired. First we need to break their pairing, spin pairing, and then we need to give enough energy to remove their electrons. Therefore, uh, the ionization energy of group 2a elements are slightly smaller than the group, are slightly larger than the group 2 3 elements. If we talk about group 6a elements, then group 6a elements have general electronic configuration of ns2 and p4. They have smaller ionization energy than group 5a elements. Why is this so? Because in group 6a elements, uh, the np4 orbital possesses some sort of repulsion between the electrons, because all the px, py, pz orbitals have been filled, and the paired electron which is coming in 2px shell or orbital, 2px orbital, it experiences some sort of repulsion from the other p electrons. Due to that repulsion, it becomes easier for us to give slight energy and then remove its electrons. Contrary to that, group 5a elements do not have that repulsion. There are 3 electrons present in p orbital, which means that px would be having 1 electron, py would be having a 1 electron, and pz would be having 1 electron. There is nothing as far as repulsion is concerned as we saw it in case of group 6a elements. Therefore, due to less repulsion in 5a elements, we need slightly larger energy to remove electrons from 5a as compared to group 6a. Let us talk about electron affinity. Electron affinity is the energy that is involved when an electron is added into an isolated neutral gaseous atom to make it an anion. Because it is energy, it is measured in kilojoules per mole. Let us consider the formation of chloride ion. When we introduce an electron into chlorine atom, it forms chloride ion, and the energy which is released is minus 349 kilojoules per mole. It should be noted here that a more negative value of Ea indicates stable anion formation, which means that if the anion is stable, larger amount of energy would be released. A more positive values of electron affinity indicates unstable anion formation. For this anion to be formed, you need to provide huge amount of energy. For example, if you are going to make uh, helium anion, you need 21 kilojoule per mole of energy. Group 7A elements have larger negative Ea values because they attain noble gas electronic configuration. For example, if you take uh, the example of chloride, we say that the electronic configuration of chloride becomes similar to what we see in noble gases, and due to this it releases huge amount of energy. Therefore, group 7A elements have larger negative Ea because they attain very stable noble gas electronic configuration. A similar trend has been seen in group 4A elements where a large negative electron affinity values have been found. The reason for a relatively larger negative electron affinity value is that after acquiring one electron, the elements of group 4A form p3 half-filled orbital configuration. After acquiring half-filled stable configuration, they release large amount of energy, indicating the stable formation of anion. Due to this reason, the elements of group 5A have higher electron affinity than group 4A elements, indicating that they are unstable in nature as compared to group 4A anions. For example, nitrogen has 0 or very small electron affinity values, indicating an unstable negative ion. Hydrogen and group 3 elements have small negative electron affinity values, and the elements with filled subshells, for example, the noble gases, they have positive electron affinity values because they are already stable in nature, and when we try to give electrons uh, to the noble gases electronic configuration, then we are actually making them unstable, and if we are making them unstable after providing an electron, we need to give energy as according to this rule. The next property that we are going to discuss is the electrode potential. Electrode potential refers to the oxidation or reduction affinity of a substance. It actually measures the tendency of a chemical species to acquire electron and thereby be reduced, and vice versa. The more positive the potential, the greater the species affinity for electrons, or the more the species tend to be reduced. Here we can easily see that the highest reduction potential is obtained for fluorine. Fluorine actually is supposed to be a goon of the periodic table. It is because it is the most electronegative element. It has electronegativity of 4.0. Then it tends to acquire electron from wherever it sees it. Therefore, fluorine gets electrons and becomes reduced, and its reduction is highly favorable because no element can dare to stand in front of fluorine because it has the highest electronegativity values. In comparison to it, we see that the lithium has the least reduction potential, or you may say that its reduction potential is negative. Therefore, we can say that it is favoring oxidation. Its oxidation potential is 3.05, which means that lithium can easily donate its one electron. So this is where we can establish a series which is called electrochemical series, and that electrochemical series actually tells us which elements are reduced or oxidized based on a reference electrode. If we discuss magnetic properties trend in a periodic table, uh, Any element having unpaired electrons can easily be attracted by a magnet. Because of non-pairing of spin, there arises a magnetic moment, and that magnetic moment can easily be disturbed by applying external magnetic field. Therefore, any element or any ion having unpaired electrons would be attracted by a magnet, and those substances are called paramagnetic substances or paramagnetic materials. Any atom or ion having paired electrons, because their spins are paired, they do not have a net magnetic moment. Therefore, these materials cannot be attracted by a magnet. Therefore, they are called diamagnetic materials. If you have an example of chromium 3, then the electronic configuration of chromium 3 plus is this. It contains 3 unpaired electrons in the orbital. Therefore, it is a paramagnetic substance. If you talk about cadmium 2 plus, so cadmium 2 plus has electronic configuration in which all the electrons are paired, and due to these paired electrons, it is a diamagnetic substance. Because it's our convention, I give some questions for you people to think. Here are some points that you people need to think about. Ions having same number of electrons are called isoelectric ions. The ions having the most number of protons will be the smallest in size. Because of the highest nuclear charge, the attractive force would be higher, and due to higher attraction, the size contraction would come into play. Okay. Now arrange the following ions in increasing order with respect to their size. It's very easy for you people to do now because I have given a hint. Take some more isoelectric series and arrange them with respect to their sizes. Okay. Predict magnetic properties of atoms and ions. You can uh, write electronic configurations of various metals, for example, iron, chromium, nickel, zinc, and predict whether they are paramagnetic in nature or diamagnetic in nature, or whatever their nature is, and uh, consider their stable cationic configuration also. For example, if you are assessing the paramagnetic nature or diamagnetic nature of iron, or its cation, it's a stable cation configuration. For example, you can predict the properties of ferrous, and you can predict the properties of ferric. You can predict the properties of copper ions as well. For example, you can predict properties of cuprous, cupric, and several other cations of other species. So you need to think about all these points, and with this we have come to an end of this lecture. Till our next lecture, it's goodbye for you people. Stay safe, stay at home, and God bless you.